Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So my name is Tiffany. I'm a human design reader among many other things. And so today what I'd like to talk about is emotional authority. So when I'm doing readings, a lot of times I'll get questions around how do I tell the difference between, or how do I distinguish between the voice of my authority and then utilizing my strategy, and how do I bring those two things together? So in order to help explain this, I'm going to review 3 different charts. So I'm going to pull up a generator, manifestor, and projector chart. I'm going to talk through kind of how it looks to use the strategy of the energy type along with in partnership with emotional authority. Before I get to that though, I want to say a couple things. First of all, I'm assuming you have some basic understanding of emotional authority, although I will explain what it means. And then also, I would encourage you that if you are on a human design journey and you're really trying to lean into your design, think of yourself as like becoming an energy reader and reading your own energy, not necessarily the energy of other people, but really kind of tuning in and really trying to understand your own energy, understanding when something makes you feel expansive, when something makes you feel contracted. Really tune into what that like exciting yes feels like, and when you kind of just know something's right versus when you know something's very wrong. Okay. All right. So let's get into strategy versus authority. So in human design, your strategy is how you are meant to use your energy as you move through life. So for example, a generator is meant to respond to things. So the universe is going to put things in front of them and they are going to respond. And the idea is the more that they can respond to the things that are exciting to them, the less resistance they will encounter. Life will feel a little more easy, more freeing. They will feel more satisfied with life, right? And then like with a manifestor energy type, their strategy is to inform. So they are really here to design to, follow their urges and let other people know what they're doing. And again, the more that they can do that, the more they will feel peaceful, the more they will feel like there's less resistance in life. And so that's how the strategy shows up. It's like, how are you meant to move through life? How's your energy meant to kind of like be utilized? Your authority, though, is how do I gain clarity to make decisions, and specifically big decisions? Let's just focus on big decisions. And how do you know what is a big decision? So a big decision is going to be how important it is to you. So if it's really important for you to get a new job, for example, then that's a big decision, right? So that's when you would really want to tune into your authority, whatever your authority is. So now let's talk a little bit about emotional authority. So with emotional authority in particular, it's really about how does something make you feel? And not only how does it make you feel, but how does it make you feel over time? Because people who have emotional authority have what we call an emotional wave. So think of the waves on the ocean. It's kind of like this wave that goes up and down. And so when you're at the high end of the wave, you're going to feel a little more optimistic or in a good mood. And when you're at the low of your wave, you're going to feel a little more melancholy. And so the idea is that we don't want to say yes to something. So like, let's say somebody says, hey, do you want to go on a beach weekend with these like 15 people that you don't even know? So if you're in a good mood in that moment, because you have emotional authority and you're at the high of your wave and you're in a good mood in that moment, and you're like, yeah, hell yes, I want to do this thing. It sounds exciting. And then you kind of go down to your calm, cool, and collected, your neutral zone. And then you're like, why did I say yes to that? Like, why did I say yes to going to the beach with strangers? Like, maybe that's not cool with you. And then likewise, you don't want to say no to something that would have been a yes had you kind of allowed time to kind of move through your emotional wave. So the idea when you have emotional authority is to really buy yourself time for decisions. You want to give yourself 24 hours, sleep on it, give yourself a few days to think about if you've received a job offer, for example, give yourself a couple days, 48 hours to really kind of move through your wave, to really understand how this thing makes you feel. And is it going to be a yes for you, or is it not going to be a yes for you? All right, so let me walk through some charts and let me give you some practical examples of how it can work with generators, manifestors, and projectors. Okay, so as you can see here, I have 3 chart examples. I have a generator, a manifestor, and a projector example. And you'll notice here that I also have their strategy. So generators is responding, manifestors informing, projectors wait to be invited. And all 3 of these charts, these energy types here, these individuals have emotional authority. The reason I picked these 3 is because generators and manifesting generators are pretty similar in this respect only. And so I didn't see a reason to duplicate it. Reflectors are never going to have emotional authority because they don't have they're not going to have a defined energy center. So I thought I would just kind of focus on these 3 different energy types. So you'll notice that what these all 3 of these charts have in common is this energy center here, this triangle that points inward on the right-hand side is colored in. So all 3 of these individuals have the center colored in. This energy center is the solar plexus energy center, and this is where the emotional authority essentially lives. So when this is colored in a chart, that means that this energy type, this person, automatically has emotional authority. Okay, so let's talk about the generator first. So the generator is here to respond. They think they're externally inspired, right? They're here to be inspired externally by things that are put in front of them, and things move in front of them. They're here to say that thing is exciting to me or is not exciting to me. And when I use the word exciting, it doesn't necessarily show up as being that dramatic, but it can. This thing that the generator is working on is that they're doing, is it bringing them satisfaction? Do they feel satisfied with life? Is it a hell yes? Is it exciting? Does it make them feel good, right? And so that's their strategy, is to respond. Now, like, let's just say, for example, this generator here, maybe they're on Pinterest and they see pictures of Canada and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to move to Canada. Like, that sounds like a really exciting idea to me. So that's going to be a big decision, right? So what the generator needs to do, when the generator has emotional authority, what they're really going to want to do is buy themselves some time to think about that thing. They're going to note the excitement. Canada sounds amazing. I want to go to Canada. And then what they're going to want to do is just kind of sit with that idea. They're going to want to sleep on it. They essentially need to kind of almost like, I've heard it said, like, tame the dragon of their emotional wave. Like, because what you want to happen is you want to make decisions ideally when you're in that neutral place. And so this generator, when they're thinking about that idea of going to Canada, is going to want to pay attention. Okay, how does moving to Canada make me feel when I'm in my lows? How does it make me feel when I'm in my high? And then how does it make me feel when I'm feeling neutral? And so they're going to really allow themselves to move through that wave before they make a decision of, I'm going to move to Canada or not. Okay. The manifestor, their strategy is to inform. So they don't need to collaborate with the universe in order to engage their strategy or use their energy, right? They're going to get urges that come internally. It's almost like they're internally inspired to do things. And when they're utilizing their strategy, what they're doing is they're following those urges, they're honoring the things that they want to do, and they're just letting other people know that they're doing it. And if people want to join them, they will. And if people don't want to join them, they won't. When a manifestor, though, has emotional authority, as you can see here, it means that the manifestor, let's say this manifestor has this urge to volunteer their time for their favorite nonprofit organization. They're like, you know what? Like, it just comes up on them. They're like, I want to go do this thing, right? Well, when they have emotional authority, like, what they're going to want to do is they should note the urge. And I would even say with a manifestor, it's probably important for them to take some kind of action, in the sense that maybe they're doing research and then maybe they're looking into how much time it would take from their schedule or something like that. But doing a little bit of research, getting more information, and really kind of, again, allowing time for their emotional wave to go through its cycle and deciding, okay, is this the right timing now for me to be volunteering my time? Is it a good time in life to be able to do that? I should be doing that. So they should allow time, sleep on it, again, wait a few days, mull it over and decide, okay, how does this feel? Does it feel good in my body? Does it make me feel expansive? Does it make me feel contracted? If it makes me feel contracted, then maybe it's not a good time to be taking action on that idea yet. And then the projector, let's talk about the projector energy type. So their strategy is to wait to be invited. So what's really important for projectors is waiting to be invited sounds really passive. And I want to make it really clear, it's not passive. And so if that's your understanding, get that out of your head, because projectors are not here to be passive necessarily. But what a projector is here to do in order for this waiting to be invited strategy to come into play is it's really important for you to, number one, be very clear on your gifts, the things that you're good at, the things you could do in your sleep, your passions, the things that you're just like, you're skilled at, the things you see uniquely, right? And then two, what's really important for this is to be grateful and confident in those gifts, to have gratitude from them, to appreciate the gifts that you bring to people, okay? And so when projectors can really lean into their strategy, what they're doing is they're exploring their genius, they're embracing their gifts, they're putting those gifts out into the world for others to see. Because when they do that, that's when the invitations will come. So let's say this projector in particular is an artist, and let's say they do paintings and they know their gift, they've embraced their gift. I create beautiful paintings, and I'm going to start putting my paintings out into social channels. I'm going to start getting them into magazines or whatever it is, into galleries. And so when the projector can do that and start putting their work out there, the invitations will start to come. So like, let's say somebody says, hey, can I buy your art? Or I want to put your art in a museum, or I want to put your art in a restaurant, or whatever it is. And that's when the invitations will come, right? So where does emotional authority come into play here? Emotional authority comes into play when you have the invitation. Whenever they receive an invitation, they essentially need to evaluate it and say, is this invitation right for me or not? And that's where emotional authority comes into play. So like, let's say somebody reaches out to this artist and says, hey, we want to commission you to do work in our building. It's going to take 2 years, but we want you to paint all of the interior walls and the ceilings and all of that stuff. If that's not in alignment with the projector is going to know by sitting with it, buying themselves some time, thinking to them, really kind of considering like, okay, do I want to spend 2 years working on this art project? It's going to take me away from my family. It's going to take me away from my other passion projects I'm doing. It's, maybe it's a heavy lift, and allowing time for them to absorb what that means, and allowing a few days to think about it. And then if it makes them feel expansive and they're like, you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice all these other things to have this project because it would be amazing, then that's going to be great. If, however, it makes them feel contracted, or makes them feel sad, or makes them feel emotional in some way and in more of a negative emotion, then the projector is going to know that this is not the right project for me. And that's when they'll say no. So that is an example of how emotional authority can come into play with the projector energy type. Okay, so I think I've completed, like, just at a high level, what I wanted to share about emotional authority. I hope these examples have been helpful in some way. And if you have any questions, just let me know.